The political landscape has been electrified by an escalating feud between Reform UK and the Conservative Party, centred around allegations, denials, and fiery rhetoric. Dame Andrea Jenkins, a prominent figure in Reform UK, has delivered a scathing rebuke to Kemi Badenoch, accusing her of immaturity and undermining a movement that has surged into relevance. The controversy stems from Nigel Farage's claim that Reform UK has amassed over 150,000 members, a milestone he heralded as evidence of a profound shift in British politics. But Kemi Badenoch dismissed the announcement, claiming the membership numbers were fraudulent. She accused Reform UK of fakery, alleging their membership counter was coded to tick up automatically. These sharp accusations, viewed by many as an attempt to discredit Reform UK's rapid rise, sparked outrage within Farage's camp. Dame Andrea Jenkins quickly emerged as the party's staunchest defender, taking to GB News to call out Badenoch's comments in no uncertain terms. Check out the clip of Jenkins calling out Badenoch's immature accusations right here.
You mentioned forecast gains there for Reform. There's polling in today's Sunday Times giving Reform UK, were an election held now and it won't be for 4 years, 72 seats. The Tories, 222 seats. Labour, 228 seats. That suggests that if Reform in the UK did form an alliance, they could run the country from 2029. You mentioned Canada. Can a deal be done here? I mean, shouldn't these two right-centre parties be coming together to take on Labour and the Lib Dems? And are you urging that internally in Reform UK?
No, I'm not. If you remember, Christopher, we've had conversations, haven't we, on your shows over the last 18 months. I was trying to bring both parties together before the election to take the fight to the socialists. But I think now it's actually gone too far, and what Kemi did in actually virtually accusing Nigel of fraud, I think that's actually trampled on any potential relationship. Not that there was going to be one anyway, but I think that's, rhetoric like that doesn't help matters. But I think what we've seen with his 150,000 members in that short space of time, we are a movement and still 4.5 years away from election. Yeah. We can pull from Labour and Conservatives as well. Then we can become the governing party.
On those 150,000 members, are they all in the UK? Are they all voters who can vote here, or are they all around the world? Because some of the memberships are being signed up in the small hours of the morning.
Well, I mean, look, I'm an insomniac. I was sort of writing my campaign plan at 2 a.m. in the morning this morning, Christopher. So, well, I understand the parties had the verifiers in, so you'd have to ask them that. But I couldn't see why it would not be, to be honest.
In the interview, Jenkins didn't mince her words, calling Badenoch's remarks a desperate and baseless attack on Reform UK. Virtually accusing Nigel of fraud is not just immature, she said. It's a blatant attempt to distract from the failures of the Conservative Party. Reform UK isn't a gimmick. It's a movement of real people who are fed up with the same old politics. And rhetoric like this only proves how much of a threat we are to the establishment. Jenkins also criticised Badenoch's tactics as divisive and counterproductive. This rhetoric has trampled on any chance of unity, not that there was much hope for collaboration to begin with, she said. But this goes beyond politics. It's about respect for the people who have chosen to support us because they believe in change. Farage, meanwhile, has taken the fight directly to Badenoch, demanding a public apology. In a series of posts on X, formerly Twitter, he wrote, "When will you apologise to me and the 146,077 members of Reform UK? These baseless accusations are an insult to every one of them." He dismissed her claims as a crazy conspiracy theory and hinted at possible legal or political consequences if she failed to retract her statements. Badenoch, however, remains defiant. Doubling down on her accusations, she dismissed Farage's demands and ridiculed him as being out of touch. "Nigel doesn't understand the digital age," she quipped, refusing to engage further. This has only fueled tensions, with speculation growing about whether Farage might take legal action or use the controversy to galvanise Reform UK's supporters. The feud has exposed a deeper divide in British politics as Reform UK's rise challenges the dominance of Labour and the Conservatives. A new poll conducted by More in Common UK has revealed just how much the political landscape is shifting. If a general election were held today, Labour would lose nearly 200 seats, while Reform UK would gain an astonishing 72 seats, becoming the third largest party in Parliament. This fragmentation of the political system is unprecedented, with Labour reduced to 228 seats and barely holding on to a plurality. Meanwhile, the Conservatives would gain 87 seats and the SNP would pick up 26. These numbers reflect a growing dissatisfaction with traditional parties as voters increasingly seek alternatives. The poll predicts that several high-profile Labour figures would lose their seats to Reform UK candidates, including Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband and Yvette Cooper. Even Wes Streeting, often seen as a rising star within Labour, would lose his Ilford North seat to an independent candidate. Farage has capitalised on these projections, declaring that Reform UK is the future of British politics. Speaking at a packed rally, Farage declared, "The British people are fed up. Labour and the Conservatives have failed this country, and voters are turning to us because we're offering real solutions. Reform UK isn't just an alternative, it's the answer. We're ready to lead." Despite this momentum, Reform UK faces significant challenges. Critics argue that while the numbers are impressive, the first-past-the-post electoral system could limit their ability to convert support into seats. However, Jenkins remains optimistic. "This isn't a protest party," she said. "This is a movement for change, and we're building the foundations of something extraordinary. With 4.5 years until the next election, we're ready to show the British people what real leadership looks like." For the Conservatives, Reform UK's rise poses a direct threat. Badenoch's accusations appear aimed at discrediting the party before it gains further traction, but the backlash from voters suggests the strategy may have backfired. Meanwhile, Labour is grappling with the prospect of significant losses, raising questions about their ability to address the issues driving voters to Reform UK. The feud between Badenoch and Reform UK has now become a symbol of the broader changes sweeping through British politics. It's not just a clash of personalities, it's a battle for the future of the country. Reform UK's rapid rise and the growing fragmentation of the electorate reflect a dissatisfaction with the status quo that both Labour and the Conservatives can no longer ignore. With tensions at an all-time high and the next general election still years away, the stakes couldn't be higher. Can Reform UK sustain its momentum and turn its growing popularity into electoral success? Or will the establishment find a way to push back? One thing is certain, this political drama is far from over. With every twist and turn, the battle for Britain's future continues to intensify, promising to reshape the country's political landscape in ways no one could have predicted. Stay tuned for more updates as this high-stakes conflict unfolds.